Okay, this is a quick tutorial on both Lua constraints and testing in a simulated environment. These two things are really interconnected because in order to test in a simulated environment, you need to know how Lua constraints work and how to input them, and how they interact with the scar of the game. So we'll go ahead and look first at the core European Ruins game. We'll go to data, scar, Lua constraints. Now there's already a written tutorial on how to do SQL changes, and it mentions Lua constraints and mentions what these things are pretty easily, and there's some reference tables in there as well, so you can read up on that. But let me just quickly browse over what the Lua constraints are. Simply put, they are the SCAR document that connects what is in your attrib archives for all your unit stats to the game. It links them to the game. That's all Lua constraints or Luaconsts are doing. So, for example, and everything, and there are basically three major sections of the Lua constraints: the units tables, the upgrades tables, and the rules tables. So the first table you'll see is the ER SPPS tables, right? And they're nicely formatted into separate sections: US, Wehrmacht, Commonwealth, and Panzer Elite. And you'll see here, for example, here's the engineer. So it's generally speaking, when you're inputting a new unit, let's say we put in a new unit, let's call it, assault engineer, not assault engineer, recon engineer. I don't know what, I've just made that up. So you want to name it whatever, and this first naming part can be whatever. So let's say recon engineer, and you keep it all caps. So you go over and you put the equal sign, and then you can just copy paste over what was previously there. And your BP gets squad blueprint, and generally speaking, all our squad blueprints are in the SPPS folder. So you'd put the SPPS entry here. So it'd be, SPPS, European Ruins Races, US Soldiers, and then it'd be, I don't know, what we'd probably name it like Recon Engineer Squad, right? So there you go, and that'd be a Luacon entry. Of course, we're not going to save that. We're going to get rid of that. So that's a Luacon entry for a unit, right? And all these units here have their basic entries and their SPPS locations, right? So that entering a Luacon for unit is not hard, right? So here's some INR infantry. So, INR infantry, there's the name. This is what you're going to reference in your SQLs or in your test mod. And here's the equal sign, BP squad blueprint, and then the SPPS location of that squad, which is right here. So Lua constraints are not that hard to input for units. Same thing with upgrades here, basically. Go past all this SPPS, PE being the last one. Here we are on upgrades now. This is working for your unit upgrades and your docking abilities, right? So here's some things like this. Here's, for example, here's say M2 carbine. So we got M2 carbines here, and you enter that, right? So let's say if we want to put in something like rifleman flamer. So rifleman flamer, tab over. Then you just copy paste the above, put it in, and then you just put in the file path of where you have that ability put in. So for example, a flame would probably be in US items, and then it'd probably be what do we call it? It'd be like a allied squad item flamer, right? So there you go. So that's how you'd put an upgrade. Same thing for doctrines, basically. You'll see all the old stuff is already here. For example, here's our armor, McNair's M18. You put in the name of the doctrine. BP get upgrade blueprint, and then European Ruins US doctrine McNair's upgrade, right? So you just link things. So all the Lua constraints is doing is making a SCAR entry name, which is this, and linking it. This is the linking process to the RGD entry name, which is this, right? So that's all Lua constraints are. You make up a SCAR name, you link that SCAR name with this function to the RGD entry. That's all Lua constraints are. Now that's upgrades. The last part of the Lua constraints is basically the tables Lua constraints. So get past all these upgrades, and here we are. Here you basically have these table entries here, which are ER RD, ER minimal, ER emplacements, trucks, ER tanks, allies, axis, PE, and basically what these are tables for what these are tables for SCAR rules. Let me give you an example. For example, ER tanks ally. This is a list. Basically, all this is a list for a new rule in SCAR, let's say. So these three tanks here are for the +2 pop bonus in SCAR. So what all this list is doing is, if you go to say data test, my data folder, SCAR, I believe it was in, I don't remember if it was in rules. I'm going to say it's in rules. So we're going to go ahead and look up this table, right? So the table name is EAR tanks underscore allied. So we go ahead and search here. Control F, EAR tanks underscore allied. Is it allied or allies? Allied. Okay, so we'll go ahead. Is it in here? No, it's not in here. So it's probably in the miscellaneous folder. EAR tanks underscore allied. Fine, next. Okay, I'm obviously doing something wrong here. Go ahead, EAR tanks. No, okay. Well, I would like to show you what this table does, but I don't seem to be able to find. Oh, there it is. Okay, so here's a function table, right? ER tanks underscore al. I don't know why that won't work in the search, but you'll see here. Here's a rules entry. Basically, if player has upgrade, ER upgrade armor US allied war machine. So you look up here. Here's the upgrade. US armor. Where is it? Armor allied war machine. There's the scar name of that upgrade. So this is the scar name that links via this function to the RGD that you put into the attrib archive. So that's all this Luaconsts is doing. And this is linked to the player via the launcher in SQLs. You can read the tutorial in the form for the SQLs there. And basically what this upgrade is saying is if the player has this upgrade, then whenever any unit in this filter table, right? So in this filter table we have the following units, which is EIR SPP US Sherman, Sherman Leahy, and Hellcats. And where do we get this name? So this is err.spp.us.sherman, right? So err.spp.us.sherman. Where are we getting this from? Well, look back up to your unit table at the top of the Luaconsts. So err.spp, this is the name of this table. Secondary reference .us. And then down here we have our Sherman and Sherman Leahy. So here are your Luaconsts references, your SCAR references. So basically what this doctrine is saying is if the player has this doctrine, any units in this table get population added, which is the number of that unit times 2. So you'd get 2 extra pop for your Sherman because it's in this table and you have this player upgrade. So that's basically a quick function of how Luaconsts work.